My relationship with Otessa Moshfegh is like a little bit messier than I thought it was going to be. Just read the dang book if you want to read. Hyperfixation exclusives. Is this upside down, Sam? Yes, it is. Okay. What am I saying? I want to be chilled to my bones. TBR cart that's full to bursting. I'm sold. Hi, I'm Sam. There's quite literally no one asking me to do this, but this is perhaps the worst eyeliner that I have ever done in my entire life, so I thought that I should share my misery with the entire internet. But actually, today I would like to tell you about all the books that I would like to read in December. All of the books on this TBR are books that I either already had in previous TBR videos that I never ended up getting to, and or are books that I'm just really eager to read and I just really want to get to before the end of the year. So basically like anticipated 5-star reads. So yes, the first book that I would like to read is the new Junji Ito release. So Black Paradox by Junji Ito. So this is a fairly new release by Viz Media. Is this upside down, Sam? Yes, it is. Okay. Well, to be fair, the cover's kind of like, it could go either way. But yes, that was upside down. Black Paradox by Junji Ito. This is the new release by Viz Media. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the first physical English release of this story, because this is one that I have never actually been able to read before. So this will be my first time reading this. So this is about 4 people intent on killing themselves meet through the suicide website Black Paradox. Maruso, a nurse who despairs about the future, Taburo, a man who is tortured by his doppelganger, Pitan, an engineer with his own robot clone, and Barachi, a woman who agonizes about the birthmark on her face. They wander together in search of the perfect death, fatefully opening a door that leads them to a rather bizarre destiny. So yeah, pretty excited about this. I am a huge Junji Ito fan, so this is one that I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna like this one. That's kind of a guarantee. So excited. That's number 1. Okay, the next few are ones that I have had on previous TBRs and then just never got to, but I really want to get to because I really think I'm going to like them. So the first of those is And Then I Woke Up by Malcolm Devlin. So I've had this for the majority of the year and I would like to get to it. This is about, it's like post-apocalyptic, but it's a unusual plague in that it affects your perception of reality. So is there actually like this zombie-esque plague outbreak, or are people who are affected by the plague just like imagining that, or their reality is very warped? So really intrigued by that. And then obviously the cover is just like fab. That's number 2. Next is another one that I had on my TBR, I believe in October. Never got to it, but I absolutely need to, because I think this could be like one of my favorite things I've ever read. So that is This Thing Between Us by Gus Moreno. I know very little about this, except it's like a guy's wife dies. He's like grieving his wife, and it says, but soon he realizes there is no escape, not from his guilt, not from his anger, and not from the evil hunting him, feeding on his pain, looking for a way into this world. Very, very intrigued by this one, the idea of grief becoming this sort of like other entity and kind of like destroying you. The personification of grief in that way is something I'm really excited to read about. Next is The Postmortal by Drew Magary. This is one I had on my TBR, I believe I think this was maybe on my September TBR. Who's to say? But I read The Hike by Drew Magary earlier this year. Loved it. Love Drew Magary's writing style. He's a funny dude. So I want to read The Postmortal by him because I think it's just going to be more of that really fun writing. Another one, I think that this could be one of my top of the year. I'm trying to just like really pack my last month with a lot of heavy hitters because why not? Life is short, you know? So this is about a near future where a cure for aging is discovered and it becomes available to people worldwide. This guy he says he's about to get the cure for aging. Old age can never kill him now. The only problem is everything else still can. I'm really excited to read more of Drew Magary's writing, and I hope this lives up to my expectations. Next is a new release that I recently got, and I've just been really intrigued by this book, so I want to read it before the end of the year, and that is Motherthing by Ainslie Hogarth. Great cover. This is about a woman who, her mother-in-law moves in with her and her husband. She's like really excited because she didn't have a great relationship with her mom, so she's like, cool, this will be my chance to have like that mother-daughter relationship. Turns out the mother-in-law like doesn't like her at all and is just like super mean and rude. I think this turns very quickly into horror because really early on in the book, the mother actually dies and then the ghost starts to haunt them. I'm expecting it to be like quirky, funny, but also kind of like spooky, horrific, maybe some navigation of grief, but just like kind of like navigating this really complex family system and maybe like her own like childhood trauma. So very excited to read this, and I hope that I like it a lot. Okay, next is one that I've been specifically waiting until winter to read because it's like a really seasonally winter book, and that is Stolen Tongues by Felix Blackwell. So just from the cover, we got a spooky monster coming to a secluded cabin. We got some snow. Okay, so I was like, I need to wait until winter. I want to be chilled to my bones while I'm reading this, you know? In real life and from the writing. So a romantic cabin getaway doesn't go exactly as planned. High up on the windswept cliffs of Pale Peak, Faye and Felix celebrate their new engagement. But soon, a chorus of ghastly noises erupts from the nearby woods. The screams of animals, the cries of children, and the mad babble of 100 mournful voices. A dark figure looms near the windows in the dead of night, whispering to Faye. As the weather turns deadly, Felix discovers that his terrified fiancée isn't just mumbling in her sleep. She's whispering back. Yeah, that sounds freaking good, so I am excited. This was a contest-winning story originally on the subreddit No Sleep. So I think that the No Sleep subreddit was also the origin story of Penpal. Loved Penpal. It's got a coveted place on my shelf. So I'm very excited for Stolen Tongues. This has gotten a lot of praise. People really like it. I hope it becomes one of my favorite things I read this year. Okay, next is one that I kind of just like recently heard of. But do you ever have it where you just like discover a book and then you hyperfixate on it, even though you have like dozens of books on hold at the library, TBR cart that's full to bursting. Basically, you just have like so many other books that you should be reading first because they've been on your TBR for so much longer, but you just can't stop thinking about this book to the point where you're like, I should go buy that book. And then you're like, no, see if the library has it, and then you can read it. So basically that's what I did. I probably only known about this book for like a month, but I just like cannot stop thinking about it because I just want to read it so badly. And I'm going to. So that is Mother for Dinner by Shalom Auslander. This has such an intriguing synopsis. It sounds really good, and it really is like why I've been hyperfixating so much. So, Seventh Seltzer has done everything he can to break from the past, but in his overbearing, narcissistic mother's last moments, he is drawn back into the life he left behind. At her deathbed, she whispers in his ear the two words he always knew she would: eat me. These words by themselves are not remarkable. The Seltzers are cannibal Americans, a once proud and thriving ethnic group. But for Seventh, her requests raises some serious questions, both practical and emotional. Of practical concern, his dead mother is 6'4" and weighs about 500 pounds. Even divided up among Seventh and his 11 brothers, that's a lot of red meat. Plus, his brother Second keeps kosher, Ninth is vegan, First hated her, and Sixth is dead. To make matters worse, even if he can wrangle his brothers together for a feast, the Can-Am people have assimilated, and the only living cannibal who knows how to perform the ancient ritual is their uncle Ishmael, whose erratic understanding of their transition leads to conflict. Seventh struggles with his mother's deathbed request. The sense of guilt and responsibility he feels, to her and to his people and to his unique cultural heritage, is overwhelming. But he has a young daughter now, and so even as the rest of mankind embraces the boxes they've been put into, Seventh is determined to escape his once and for all. I think this is going to be kind of funny, the dark comedy of having a family of cannibal Americans. Yeah, I'm just excited to read about it. I've just been really fixating on this so much. I was like, you know what? Freaking life is short. If you discover a book and you have like 3 million books ahead of it on your TBR, but you just can't stop thinking about it, just read the dang book you want to read. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to read the dang book. Okay, the next two are also hyperfixation exclusives, aka ones that I have only really recently found and I've just been hyperfixating on. That's my long way of saying the next book I want to read is Whisper Down the Lane by Clay McLeod Chapman. We got some children gathered around what appears to be a pentagram. Yeah, I heard this is really good. Oh, that's good, Sam. So this is blurbed as a suspenseful tale of paranoia that will keep readers riveted until the last surprise is sprung. So I think this is going to be like a satanic panic, you know, maybe like a Little White Lie having a really immense butterfly effect and like really destroying someone's life. I'm very excited to read this. This is another hyperfixation special that I will be taking care of this month. Hyperfixation special number 3 is Animal by Lisa Taddeo. This is about a woman named Joan who has spent a lifetime enduring the cruelties of men. But when one of them commits a shocking act of violence in front of her, she flees New York City in search of Alice, the only person alive who can help her make sense of her past. In the sweltering hills above Los Angeles, Joan unravels a horrific event she witnessed as a child that has haunted her every waking moment, while forging the power to finally strike back. a depiction of female rage at its rawest and a visceral exploration of the fallout from a male-dominated society. I'm sold. I will be reading this month and hopefully / most likely enjoying it. Okay, last of the ones that I have physically, because I still have a couple on hold from the library, and then I'll also get into audiobooks, but the last one that I have with me today, this is one that I also got like months ago, but I have been saving for the holiday season, and that is Krampus by Brom. So obviously we've all heard of Lᵒᵒᵒ. Lᵒᵒᵒ is immaculate, perfect in every way, untouchable, a piece of literal art. So when I saw that Brom also had a Christmas version, basically a Christmas version of Lᵒᵒᵒ, I was like, yeah, I will be purchasing that. Because I also have a little Krampus procession up here, which I got these on Etsy. I'm a Krampus stan. I'm a Krampus girly. So yeah, I think this is a lot like Lᵒᵒᵒ in that it's this like folk horror type story. So there's our boy Krampus. So based on the character illustrations, it looks like this probably takes place in a more modern setting versus Lᵒᵒᵒ taking place in like the 1600s. But I am very excited. I don't know why I'm saying that, but I am very excited. I hope that this helps me get into the spooky Christmas spirit. Okay, now I have a list of books that I'm still waiting to get from the library. So the first of those is Fever Dream by Samanta Schweblin. To be fair, this one's been on my TBR for a long time, and I just really want to make sure I get to it this year because I think I will really like it. I think this is about a woman who becomes friends with a boy in an Argentinian hospital, and it's like a critique on this, I think, real crisis that happened in Argentina where they were basically poisoning people in the community with like pesticides or something. So this is translated from Spanish, and I have heard really good things about it. I think it's relatively short too, so I'm excited to give that a whirl. Another one that's very seasonal that I'm excited to read in December is Small Things Like These by Claire Keegan. So this takes place in the weeks leading up to Christmas in Ireland in 1985, and I think it follows this really blue-collar man who uncovers this like abuse that's happening in his community, and it basically he has to like reckon with his past and the complicity of the town that's pretty controlled by the church. Some people have called it like the anti-Christmas Carol, and it's a really thorough exploration of morality in such a short amount of pages. So I think this is technically considered a novella because it's pretty short, and I don't know, maybe this won't be good to read during Christmas because it'll make me question the goodness of others, but we'll see. I'm still excited to read it. Okay, and then as far as audiobooks, I looked ahead on Libby, and it looks like the ones that I'll be able to get are Comfort Me with Apples by Catherynne M. Valente. I don't really know what this one is about, except like this lady is married to this guy, and she's like, oh, we have the perfect life, perfect marriage, perfect home, but then there's like this locked basement she can never go into, and then the neighbors always kind of like treat her weird and like won't ever meet her gaze. So she's sort of like suspicious about her husband maybe a little bit and like what he's really up to. And this is another shorty, so I'm just gonna listen to this, and I hope that I like it. The next audiobook I should be able to get is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. This has been really blowing up lately. So this is a very decade-spanning book about the relationship between these two characters who have known each other basically all their lives and are like pretty much in love, but have never like gotten together. But what intrigued me about this is that there's a lot of video game references in this book. I don't know if the genre of this book is like speculative, where there might be some like genre-breaking elements, like maybe they'll actually like seem like they're in a video game or something. So I think they make a movie together and it becomes like this overnight success, and they become really crazy popular and rich really young, and then it follows them over the course of their lives and their relationship. And yeah, that's kind of all I know about it, so I hope it's good. It has been getting a ton of buzz lately, so it seems like people really like it, and I'm hoping I do too. The next audiobook I'll be able to get is Lapvona by Otessa Moshfegh. I recently read My Year of Rest and Relaxation, and I have some thoughts about it, which I will discuss more in my November wrap-up. But for now, I think my relationship with Otessa Moshfegh is like a little bit messier than I thought it was going to be. So I think this story is going to be very different from My Year of Rest and Relaxation because it's set in like a medieval time in a medieval village. It's supposed to be like a lot of depraved people doing very depraved things. Yeah, I think it's supposed to be like really gross and really disgusting and maybe disturbing depending on what gets you. Yeah, I'm gonna try this on audiobook and see if I like it. Okay guys, that's everything I want to read in December, plus some audiobooks and some other books that I talked about that I do not have a physical copy of yet, but I will soon. I hope that you enjoyed this little peek into my year-end TBR. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for watching. Watch my other videos if you want. Like this video, comment, subscribe if you want. Would love to have ya. I got some juicy stuff planned for the end of the year. I appreciate you being here so much, and I hope to see you in the next one. Okay, goodbye.